Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a pistol that I actually like quite a bit. I have a preferred method of carry anytime that I'm able, and that's pocket carry. And I've often had people challenge me that there's just not a whole lot of good pocket carry guns. And I have one to talk to you about today that may change your mind. So we'll be talking about the Kimber Micro 9 KHX. And we're going to get into it in just a second. So, quite often I have people ask me about pocket carry guns because I mention pocket carry a lot, both in my videos and just in general. And a lot of people don't think there's any good guns for pocket carry, and, well, there's not a ton of them, I'll give you that. But I think we have a good contender here. Now, anyone who knows anything about the Kimber line knows about the Micro 9. There's a ton of these, okay? If you look here, this is a Kimber landing page for the Micro 9. As you can see, there's a lot of different options. I happen to have the KHX here, and I like it. I just like everything about it, and I picked it up because when I put it in my hand and looked at it, it had everything I wanted, and I didn't really treat this gun any different than any gun I had bought for carry until I took it to the range, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But let's get into some of the features and whatnot. So this little gun here, it ships with a 7-round magazine, which isn't bad for a small gun. All these little tiny guns end up being 6+1, so this is 7+1. I like that quite a bit. I'm all about the whole capacity thing. I'm not concerned about having more than that because, as I've probably mentioned many times before, I don't think that you necessarily have to have a crazy amount of rounds in your pistol in order for it to save your life. I carry an extra magazine in my briefcase when I have this gun. So if I need it, you know, I've got it. But so 7+1 of 9mm. Of course, this is the whole Micro 9 series, so it's all 9mm. So what is it about this particular Micro 9 that makes it a KHX? Well, it's got what they call the Kimpro 2 gray finish, which is this, which seems pretty durable. I've taken this one to the range and shot it a lot and handled it and taken it apart and put it back together, and the finish holds up pretty good. So that's been good. If you'll notice, you've got these little hexagonal slide serrations. You know, I don't really find myself messing with the front serrations on my guns very often, but they're extremely easy to hang on to, so if you do, that's pretty nice. But they're very easy to grip. You know, if you're going to rack the gun, very, very good contact on that hexagonal piece there. I think the serrations have very grippy. It comes with fiber optic sights. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about fiber optic sights. I had another gun that I ordered once with fiber optic sights. Didn't really think about it too much. I ordered a Springfield 1911, and when I got the gun, it had a red fiber optic sight on the front like this, and it had a standard steel rear sight. And it was okay, but to me, that wasn't the best sight picture in the world. It's a good gun. I like it. I carry it sometimes. But it seems like, you know, trying to get your target acquisition with a steel sight, and then, to me, it just wasn't the greatest thing in the world. And so I was a little leery about the fiber optic sight on this until I took it to the range. And like I say, we're going to talk to you a little more about that in detail when I talk about taking this thing to the range. But just as a kind of a preview, the fiber optic sights are not a bad way to go. I have changed a lot of my opinions about fiber optic sights from this gun, and I have since put fiber optic sights on some other guns because of it. So you've got the, I really love these grips. You've got this, these are Hogue G Mascus. It's the G10 material, and you've even got it here on the back, which on the mainspring housing here on the back. It's really nice. Now I've got a big hand, and I talk about guns all the time, and if they're good for me, because it's, remember, your things that we measure, accuracy, reliability, and comfort, and that includes the shooting part, not just the carry part. With this magazine, with the little extension here and this grip, I feel like I've really got a good solid grip on this gun. I really like it. It's light, but it feels like a heavy gun. It feels like you've got a significantly larger firearm in your hand. So you've got the front checkering here, okay? Stainless steel barrel. Now, all of these Micro 9s are single action, okay? Now, this is not a 1911. I like to call this a 1911 style pistol, but it's not a true 1911 just because of the guts on the inside. It's just not a 1911. But, like a 1911, it's single action. You've got your safety. It's not ambidextrous, so there's that. But for me, that's not a big deal. That works for me. So you got your safety on the side. You've got your trigger. The factory trigger pull from Kimber is set at 7 pounds approximately. This thing has got a 3.15 inch stainless steel barrel in it. And it weighs 15.6 ounces when it's empty. That's pretty good. So this gun is pretty light. Now, you can also get the Crimson Trace laser grip for this gun. I held one that had the Crimson Trace laser grip on it. Those grips are a little thicker. And I'm also, just personally, I'm not a real big fan of lasers or lights on my carry guns. That's just me. Nothing against people that do. If you carry a light or a laser on your gun and it works for you, then I say great. Whatever works. But for me, there's no need. I don't like it. So that's an option that I won't be using. So it's a little pricey. The MSRP on this gun is $815 per Kimber. I don't think I paid quite that much for mine, but that's the MSRP. So even if you get a good deal on it, it's not a cheap gun. So let's talk about some of these things. I mentioned before that the fiber optic sights sort of came into their own at the range. Well, I think this is probably a good time to discuss how this weapon performed at the range. So we're going to get into that now. Alright, so let's talk about the range. Usually when I go to the range, I take, several guns with me at a time. I think a lot of people do that just to kind of, shoot some out of their collection. And this was a gun that at the time I wasn't carrying. I'd bought it and I thought, I'm going to get around to it. I'm going to carry this. And, I was primarily carrying my H&K P30SK. Carried that gun a lot. Carried during the winter time when I have heavier clothing, I'll often carry a USP Compact or SIG 239. I've got several guns that I really, really like that I carry when I can. And I've got some other pocket-sized guns, some revolvers and things. But I hadn't really got to this gun yet, so I took it to the range. And let me tell you, this is where the story gets really interesting. I assumed that being a small pistol, I've shot many small non-limited pistols, I figured this was going to be super flippy and not manage recoil very well. And I was wrong. This gun, I was shooting both defensive ammo, which for me, I was shooting some of the 115 grain SIG V Crown. I shot a lot of that plus range ammo, and no matter which ammo I had in this gun, it was very controllable. It really wasn't that flippy, and getting back on target seemed really fast, a lot faster than with a lot of small pistols. And I'm going to give some credit to these fiber optic sights. This is the first time that I had really spent any time shooting a gun with this particular sight setup. And I got to tell you, when you're shooting, and you have light available for these sights, they really pop. And you can get your sight picture together really quickly. So coming back up, you make a shot, you get ready to make another shot. Those follow-up shots, to me, it was extremely easy to get back on target with these fiber optic sights. And because of that, I had to change my opinion. I really wasn't a fan before. But because of that, because of how well these work and how well this little pistol manages recoil, it didn't hurt my hand that much after shooting a lot of magazines. I have a lot of small pistols that if you shoot 3 or 4 or 5 mags through them, you know you've done some shooting. And this one wasn't too bad. Even with these aggressive grips, it just wasn't that bad. Now, the real telltale about how easy this gun is to shoot was I got my wife to shoot it because she has some physical limitations with one of her arms from a previous accident, so she can't handle a heavy slide to rack. She doesn't have a lot of strength in her arms and her hands, and so she has to have something that's easier for her to manage. And so she ended up with a revolver, something light, that didn't have a lot of kick, and so I let her shoot this gun, and I have to tell you, even she was surprised. My wife shot this pistol with the kind of accuracy that I would have thought she'd been practicing with this gun on a regular basis for weeks. And her first time, she was able to shoot this gun, shooting very respectable groups. As I mentioned before, I always shoot it around 21 feet. That's just my comfort zone for practicing for defensive shooting. And my wife, shooting from that same range with this pistol, was shooting some decent 2 and 3 inch groups. I can't see any flaws in that. If you're having to use this weapon in a defensive situation, that looks like that's going to be accurate to get the job done, at least in my opinion. So she was impressed with it. I was impressed with it. So we'll talk about a couple other little things here. It comes apart a lot like some of these other little pistols that you're used to seeing. You bring your slide back, and there is a, let me see here. You've got that notch you have to line up, and then you grab, and you can either push it through from this side, or you can grab it and just pull straight out. And you see the slide stop has got, that little pin just like they all do. And you just grab that guy and you pull it, and then the slide just comes straight forward like that. Now, once it's off, of course, there's nothing exciting about this. You guys have taken guns apart before, but you've got, I'll go ahead and show you, you've got your your rod and your spring here, and then of course your barrel. So your barrel just goes right back in like that. You've got your spring, you've got this little curve part that goes down, so when you push this back in, you're going to push that in all the way, and you're going to get the cutout is going to be facing back down toward the barrel, so the smooth part's going to be on top like that. You see that right there. That's how you know it's in there correctly. Now, when you put this gun back together, this is the one thing you want to be real careful about. I first discovered this problem, or it's not really a problem, it's just something to observe. But I first noticed this as kind of a watch-out safety thing whenever I was messing with one of my little SIGs a long time ago. And right here, as you're assembling it, you need to make sure that when you put the slide on and you're coming back, that you push this down, okay? You see that? Let me do that again. So you push down and let the slide go over that. See if it popped up right there? I didn't push it well enough. You got to get it down in there until it does like that. If you don't do that, you can bend that. And if you bend that, of course, that's going to be a problem. So when you go to put it back together, you can look at it. The easiest way, for me, I found to do this is just to pull it back to where the notch here is up over the hole, and then you take your slide stop and put the rod back in here, and you know that it's going straight down. Get that lined up in there like that. That notch on the top there, of course, it matches the notch. See that on top of the slide stop? So just push it all the way in, and then it's back together. And then you're ready to go. That's all there is to disassembly and reassembly. Put your mag back in there and you're good to go. Okay, so we've talked about the features, we've talked about the range, how it shoots, we talked about disassembly. So let's talk about carry. That's what this whole thing is about after all. And I've got a lot of guns I really like, and I'll be honest with you, if size didn't make any difference, if the society norm was what we carried, if everybody open carried, if everybody had a exposed holster and you could see what you wear, I'd probably carry a different gun most of the time if that was just the way it was done, just so I could have a larger frame handgun, and more capacity. But in the real world, where you don't necessarily want to do that, to me, I found that my school of thought works for me, and that is I'd rather have the gun that they don't know about. And you've heard me over and over talk about comfort. This gun is so small. It is one of the few guns that I feel is extremely capable that is an actual pocket gun. You've heard me mention, using little inside holsters like stickies, and here's another good example. You could take this gun and put it in a sticky holster, and it'll go right in your pocket. You can put it in your pocket, and it'll hold itself, upright. You can draw from the sticky in the pocket. It doesn't take a whole lot of practice to get that kind of maneuver down. And I carry this pistol all the time in the pocket, and it's very comfortable. You can carry it in a briefcase. You can do whatever you want. You can carry it in the waistband. I often carry it also in the waistband, but sometimes, clothing restrictions, it's just not comfortable to have anything inside the waistband. But in most cases, if I'm wearing dress clothes, I've got pretty big pockets, and I've got stuff in my other pockets. Not only does this fit well, but it doesn't stand out. It doesn't look like you're carrying something weird on your body. You know what I'm saying? So it just looks like you've got anything else in your pocket. And knowing that you've got 8 rounds of 9mm in your pocket in a very, very good shooting, controllable platform, that's another big plus. Now, for me, I think that this gun is it ticks all the boxes. It shoots very well, and it's been very reliable also. That's the other thing. There's very few guns I'll talk about that I will say that I've had no failure to feeds, no failures to eject, no problems whatsoever. But this is another gun that qualifies that way. I shot about 200 rounds through this gun the very first time that I took it to the range, because to me, that's how you break in a gun. You just shoot a bunch of ammo through it and let all the parts get used to each other, and you got yourself a good gun. after shooting that many rounds through the gun, and I didn't clean it first, I just started shooting. Yeah, sure, I got it home and it was filthy, and I got it cleaned up again. And I went right back to the range with it next week, and I shot it again, and it did beautiful. And I don't get to shoot this gun as much. Range time around here, with all of the COVID-19, there's a lot of new shooters, a lot of new gun buyers, and so I haven't been getting as much range time just because I'm trying to get my share of it here and there. But when I have gone, this gun always goes with me because this is the one I carry with me all the time now. So it's a great pistol. And so if you're looking for a good recommendation, and I mean a good recommendation, I don't care if you're a person with small hands that's looking for a gun that'll fit small people, this will do that. I mean, I have a large hand, I've mentioned that, but even with my large hand, this extension works very well for people with large hands. It's very easy to grip this pistol. I'm not worried about dropping it, or the G10 grip is extremely good. Like I said, this gun feels like a larger gun when it's in my hand, so I don't have any issues with it. So whether you're a new shooter, whether you're someone that's been shooting for a long time and you're just looking for a really good pocket pistol, I can't say enough good things about the Micro 9 KH8. Now, this particular one, the KHX, this is my first Micro 9. So I don't know if there's any other Micro 9s in the lineup that are any different or better. I'm going to go through and do some more study on the different features, but this is the one I have. And this has got me, thinking about, maybe some other models of the Micro 9 might be worth looking into as well. But like I say, this one had all the boxes. It had great grips. The sights, even though I wasn't totally sold on them, I thought it was, at the time I thought, well, that's interesting. Well, I'll see how these fiber optic sights work out. And this ended up being my preferred carry gun. So anyway, we appreciate you guys tuning in today. If you've got other questions about the Micro 9, drop us a comment or send us an email, either one. I shoot this gun a lot. Don't mind answering questions, and we'll always answer your questions. So it may take us a minute to get to them, but we will answer questions. We appreciate your support. If you like what you see here, we try to keep things, simple, down to the point. It's all about concealed carry, so we try to keep all the subjects here about something relevant to you making a good concealed carry decision. If you like how we do things, give us a like, subscribe. That helps us a lot, more than you know. So we appreciate all of you, and remember to stay safe out there, and we'll be back soon with another video. Thanks a lot.